Hey guys, and welcome to Quality Shot. Yes, I thought I'd start us off with a bit of music and also Del Potro in the background, who now I'm unfortunately covering up with my ugly mug. First of all, thank you very much, guys, for tuning in. And of course, do remember to smash the like button and subscribe to the channel. Yes, this is a Del Potro retirement tribute, and it's a tribute to his career, really. A career which has been a stop-start career, a frustrating one, of course, for himself, with its ups and downs. And yes, he's had a very good career. No one can deny him of that. A lot better than any other player, of course, but it's probably not the career that he was expecting. He would have expected to have had a much better one. And unfortunately for him, it's probably been cut short. He is, of course, a Grand Slam winner. And before we get into some memories and kind of mementos, things that I think are definitely worth talking about. I mean, there's a lot worth talking about, to be fair. What I want to first do is go over some interesting stats. His career CV, if you will. Tennis TV actually were the ones who put this together, so credit to them. So let's just make sure that we bring that up. You can see here Juan Martin Del Potro. So, obviously, for those who have followed him throughout his career will know, winning the US Open in 2009 at 20 years of age, beating Roger Federer in a 5-set thriller. And coming from behind as well, he was 2-1 down. Then he was 2-1 down. He was also a set down. And he went on in the end to win what can only be described as one of probably the biggest upsets at the time. He actually was the only person out of the apart from the big three, to win a Grand Slam for 7 years between 2005 and 2012. So apart from him, it was either Djokovic, Federer, or Nadal between 2005 and 2012. I think that pretty much sums up the type of player that Juan Martin Del Potro is. Masters 1000 tournaments. Again, it was a comeback against Roger Federer at Indian Wells 2018. And that was the year where he, of course, had a little bit of a renaissance. He made the US Open final that year. He also, if I'm not mistaken, managed to break into the top four. He made a fantastic run in a few of the tournaments and ended up being a career high of number 3 in the world. Olympic medals, he's got 2, of course. For Djokovic fans, he will be a little bit of a sore spot because he ended up beating him in 2016 to win the silver. And then in 2012 as well, he stopped Djokovic in his tracks in that Olympic cycle as well. So if it wasn't for Del Potro, who knows, Djokovic could have had a gold medal, if not even 2. Also leading Argentina, again being 2-0 down against Cilic in that Davis Cup final, and managing to come back and win and then lead Argentina to victory in 2016. And overall, 22 career titles as well for the big Argentinian. Now, before we go on, I just think it's really interesting because for those who haven't watched a lot of him, which you may not have if you're particularly young or relatively new to tennis, go and check out some of his matches. Go and check out that US Open 2009 match against Federer. Federer was at his peak, really. 27, 28 years of age. Those were his few years where he was incredible. I mean, Del Potro beat him when Federer was on a streak of winning 5 straight US Open titles. He stopped that streak. So Federer had won the 5 previous years at Flushing Meadows. Del Potro beat him in 2009. And since then, very interesting fact, not a single person has managed to retain their US Open title. So whether it's been Djokovic or Murray or Federer or Nadal, right, or whoever else, I think obviously, whoever else has been, they haven't managed to retain that title. Wawrinka won it once, if I'm not mistaken, as well. So, yeah, they haven't managed to then win it the next year. So very interesting little stat there. And I think he's someone who I personally think he has an all-court game. I think he's someone who's dangerous on all surfaces. Yes, of course, on quicker surfaces, he's so deadly because of the forehand. We know how incredible that ham forehand is. One of the best forehands, in my opinion, ever. For me, it would be in the top 10. That's just how good it is. It's not just to do with the velocity, of course, and the acceleration on that side and how flat he can hit at times. Yes, he can hit a phenomenally flat ball on that forehand, but he's got variations on it. Heavy topspin, fantastic angles found, and also on the stretch as well. It really is sturdy and holds up and has held up for many a year, many a game on the run, hitting that kind of trademark running forehand down the line on the stretch, whipping it like an absolute bullet. At times, I say whipping is really flick of the wrist and slapping it down the line. Just such a good shot. His backhand, I thought, was so underrated, so powerful, the two-hander. And yes, probably not as potent as the forehand, but the forehand was elite. The backhand was at least world-class, I thought. That's how good I was watching highlights of him recently and of multiple matches. And just watching him, I was thinking, you know what? We need to talk about this. His backhand was an absolute monster of a backhand. Yes, after all the wrist injuries, especially obviously he had a lot of knee injuries as well, but especially after the wrist injuries, he had less flex on his wrist. So it just meant that he didn't have as much, I guess, room to maneuver the ball on the backhand side, find as many angles, as much topspin, for example, which is why he started flattening out his backhand more as his career progressed, and also then utilized the one-handed slice a lot more as well, which, I think he openly admitted wasn't really part of how he plays. He's more of a crash bang wallop type of player. He is someone who will blow you off the court. But what it did mean is that I think he could slow down points and also then maneuver opponents around, and it would open up more parts of the court, which is why he then managed to utilize it in that run right in 2018, where he did have a nice little run during that year. It's an interesting one. It really is, because I just think, for me, he's someone who, growing up, and everyone on the channel will know I'm a Nadal fan. But as a Nadal fan, and as just someone who loves tennis, if I saw one of the big three, or let's say Andy Murray included in that, the big four, if I saw one of them draw Del Potro, or it was projected they were going to meet Del Potro in the quarters or semis of a slam or the last 16, I would genuinely be thinking, they can lose this. They could genuinely lose this. And he had so many battles with all those players. He had a phenomenal ability to beat those players as well in big moments. Yes, he lost his fair share as well, but I tell you what, if he'd stayed fit, for me, I think, I genuinely think he would be a multi-Grand Slam winner at this point. Genuinely. That's how good. He did have a losing record against all four players, by the way. But I think we need to kind of take into account the fact that, yes, he has a losing record against them, but it's a little bit misleading just because he's played a lot of his career hampered with injuries. Like, either he's had to adapt his game or he's been playing carrying injuries. And yes, you might say, well, a lot of players have in the past or have been as well. At times, yes, I agree, some have been. But it's a little bit different with the multiple surgeries he's had at times. And look, he had 2 years where he genuinely didn't play. He didn't play between, I think it's 2014, 2015. He literally had 2 years out. Or was it 2014, 2015? I think it was. Let me have a quick look because I've got it noted down here. Yeah, 2014, 2015. Second wrist injury, 2 years away from tour. Crazy. I mean, what? His serve as well, a weapon. The first serve, second serve, not bad as well, I thought. First serve, you hit into corners. It was quick enough. You could get it kind of past the 130 mile per hour mark. And I actually thought the net, he wasn't bad either. I didn't think he was bad at the net. It's not really his go-to, but I felt like he could hold his own at the net. And the thing for me is his passing shots were incredible. Uh, on the stretch, he was really good. Uh, early on in his career, especially when he wasn't hampered by injuries, and I thought his movement was really, really good. Like really, really, really exceptional. The way that he moved around the backhand side to hit the into out forehand, seamless. The into out forehand or into in forehand. I just think his general movement and ability, even defensively, early on in his career, and when he was fully fit throughout his career, was just mind-boggling for someone of his size. And not just someone of his size, just as a tennis player, to be honest with you, at that level. And that's why he was able to, beat these guys and be an absolute problem. And yes, he has, I think against the big four, it's a 20-51 record. So you might think, well, that's not incredible, but that's better than most people. But also, he's one of the few. Yes, he's got combined 20-51 record against all members of the Big Four, which is one of the best in the category, apparently. He's also one of the few to have won at least 3 matches against each of the four. What I would also say is a lot of those matches where he lost, they were really close matches. They were really tight 4-setters, really tight 5-setters, 3-setters if they're a Masters or a best of 3. He really pushed them. He pushed them. He was that boogeyman. He was that danger man. And it's a real, real shame because I feel like he could have had a phenomenal career. I think he would have had at least a career like Andy Murray or Wawrinka, for example. I guess Wawrinka obviously didn't have as good a career. He admits it because, or hasn't had as good a career because yes, he's won 3 Grand Slams, but he hasn't had that consistency that Murray did, where he won a lot of Masters 1000s, for example, a lot of tournaments. Was consistent in Grand Slams for a long period of time, made a lot of finals. Wawrinka kind of had this burst at some of the Grand Slams and made the finals, blew people away and won them. Maybe Del Potro would have been that. Maybe he would have been a Murray if he'd stayed fit. I mean, I don't know. Who knows? Maybe he would have done even better. It's hard to say, but all I would say is that if you look at these achievements on the screen, this is taking into account someone who has not been fit for many full seasons. He's had some type of major injury or kind of layback or setback, in a year, which has put him back. He is a really, really exceptional talent, and it's a shame because obviously, the reason why we're talking about this is he played in Buenos Aires against Delbonis, his fellow compatriot, and he broke down in tears before his service game. He lost in straight sets. It's funny, the match actually started off pretty well. He got the break of serve straight away. And then unfortunately, it just went downhill from there. He got broken back straight away. Wasn't moving particularly well. Wasn't really striking the ball that cleanly. Wasn't serving particularly well. Was getting drop shots a lot. Wasn't able to come to the net. Wasn't moving well. Everything he was just rusty, right? He hasn't played for X amount of months, or I think it was over a year actually. And he did say that, look, this could be his last tournament, or Rio could be his last tournament, which would be the next one he was planning to play. In the end, after losing, he just said, look, I'm not going to play Rio. I want to play or kind of live my life without pain. It's really sad to hear. Genuinely upsetting for a tennis fan to kind of hear someone say that, look, I can't play without pain, because the frustration that he must be feeling, like he will feel and he'll know what he was able to do that in the times of his career when he was fully fit or near to fully fit. And he'll just think to himself, what could I have achieved if I could just stay fit? And it's not like he's overweight. It's not like he's this guy who's not been looking after himself. He's really putting the hard yards. He's always coming back. I mean, 2 years out because of injuries, just kept on trying to come back. His body is just not holding up, and it's not his fault. It's not anyone else's fault. It's just one of those things in life that's uncontrollable almost. Um, the only way that he can kind of make sure that it kind of gets back to any type of normality in his body is by not playing something that he loves, doing the one thing that he loves in life, which is playing tennis, which is just it's really really sad. Yeah, incredible talent, and for me, like his runs at the Olympics, incredible to see. Like the upsets, being Djokovic, the 2018 final against Roger Federer. He also made the semi-final of Roland Garros in 2018. Also made the final of the US Open in 2018. Can you imagine if he beats Djokovic in that final? I mean, he loses it in straight sets and 3 relatively close sets as well. But you just, I mean, incredible considering he's just rejuvenated himself. He's managed to completely, recreate his backhand because of his wrist injuries, and he's still managed to become number 3 in the world. I mean, just phenomenal. Really, really is. And then obviously in 2016 as well, the Davis Cup win. I mean, this is a guy for me who I would love to meet him. I'd love to like sit down and do an interview with him and just talk to him about his life. And he seems like one of the nicest guys on tour, always giving people like huge hugs. Really, really, really nice, humble guy. Seems to get on with pretty much anyone. I've never had a bad word said about him, really, to be fair. Yes, he's been cheeky at times, but aren't most tennis players, to be fair, at the top level. Yeah, I mean, not much more I can say. Incredible talent, really incredible talent. He'll be hugely missed. I mean, there's not many people. There's no one that plays like him. Absolutely no one. In terms of if you look at how he hits his forehand, no one hits it like that. It's so different, but it's so effective. It's exciting, and I really do wish him the best. And there's also the off court drama as well, like with his dad, unfortunately, like stealing a lot of money from him. I think 70% of his wealth has been taken by his dad. Yes, I know a lot of people, for example, when I was talking about it on the live streams I did recently, for commentary was saying, well, look, he's still like a multi-millionaire. And yeah, I understand that in terms of earnings, etc. But if you think about how long he's played tennis, I mean, he's been playing for whatever, playing since he was very little, right? And the fact that he has earned all this money and really worked hard for it, and then the majority of it his dad has stolen is just, again, like quite upsetting because it's just not. It's not ideal. Like he's someone who clearly has been taken advantage of, and Del Potro is just. It seems like he just, as I said, he just wants to play tennis, and he even left the door kind of slightly ajar, saying that, look, it's never closed, but I want to go back to living my life pain free. And I don't think we will see him back, if I'm being perfectly honest with you. And it will be sad not to see him back. And I think as someone who's grown up, right, watching him as well, and how knowing the ability that he has, knowing how much he can trouble, like, let's be honest, the 3 greatest players ever, 3 greatest players ever, in my opinion. It's just, it's like, damn, it's not like a Cilic, right? Where Cilic won that Grand Slam and then, yeah, okay, like, had some ability and like, but then who did he beat in the final? Nishikori. Nishikori's a really good player, but He's not a Federer. He's not a Djokovic. He's not a Nadal, right? Del Potro beat Nadal and Federer back to back. He beat Nadal in the semi-final of that US Open. Then he beat Federer in the final. He's the first person to do that. He was the first person to do that at Grand Slam. Ridiculous. Like, what do you want to say? Yeah, absolutely incredible. And I really do hope that he gets some type of coaching job. I think he'd be great. From not just forget about even just the physical side and working on people's games physically. I think he'd still be really good at that. Tactically, as a player, he's clearly adapted. For example, his backhand because of injuries, etc., and it's really worked. With adapting the slice, for example, his serves improved over time. I think it's more for me from the mental side of things, right? Winning titles, big titles, beating big players on big occasions, managing to get over the humps of injuries, right? Something that's really mentally challenging. He could be a great deal of help to people such as your Zverevs, your Tsitsipas's. Right? These guys haven't won titles yet. They haven't won Grand Slams yet. Get on board with them. They should be reaching out to him after a month or so saying, look, do you want to help me out? Because you've been there, you've done that. In fact, some of the guys on tour, like Djokovic and Nadal, you've beaten them. You know what they're about. Give me some tips. How mentally can you get over it? How can I adapt my game? How can I adapt my mental fortitude when it comes to big points? He seems like someone who has one of the best mentalities on tour. Personally, that's how I see it. But we'll see. We'll see what the future holds for him. There's a long way to go yet. But exciting times ahead anyway, I hope, for him off court. I really hope he does get that type of gig. Maybe he doesn't want to do coaching or any kind of anything in tennis to do with that. Maybe he'll go into punditry and do kind of something in Argentina or even in the US. Who knows? Yeah, I think that's all I want to say. Actually, before we do wrap up, I think it's worth noting as well his best performances at Grand Slams, because that's probably the best thing to go into in terms of his best results anyway at Grand Slams. Obviously, we know that he won the US Open 2009, the quarterfinals at the Australian Open he reached in 2009 and 2012. 2009 was a great year, by the way, because he reached the quarterfinal of the Australian Open, the semi-final of the French Open, and won the US Open. So that's not a bad set of results, is it, throughout the year? Also reached the final of the tour finals as well. Not bad at all, hey? 2012, he also reached quarterfinal of the Australian Open. French Open, he reached the semis in 2018, as I said. Semi-final of Wimbledon 2013. And then, of course, reached the final of the US Open, which he already won in 2018 as well. Career record of 439 to 174, which is 71.6% win ratio, which is really good. Career titles 22, as we said, highest ranking of number 3 in the world, which was 13th of August 2018. Current ranking, which doesn't say much, number 753. And yeah, what do you have to say? I mean, just incredible. Incredible player, talent coming through, young talent coming through. Won his slam at 20. Was thinking I'm going to win at least 5. Wasn't to be, but a fantastic career nonetheless, and really wishing him the best in retirement. Thank you very much, guys, for tuning in. Please remember to smash the like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. And of course, we will see you soon for more videos. Thank you very much.